Hello, and today we'll be taking a look at Settlers of Catan, also known as Settlers and Catan and Settlers of Catan. And it has rightfully earned its place as one of the greatest board, card, whatever games of all time. So let's take a quick look at what we're going to get in the box. Your brick item cards, wheat item cards, wood item cards, sheepies, some stone item cards, some incredibly exciting development cards, a whole bunch of different hexes, 2 little 6-sided dice, little chippy things, which I'll explain later, your houses and stuff, a rulebook, which is going to be handy, and a bumper sticker for some reason. So that is the contents of the box. So now let's get an idea on what the game involves. So here's my location change, and we're going to just show you how you set up the board and how you start playing. So I just have to apologise, there was one thing I forgot before, which is this little bugger. You probably don't see it very well right now, but it's a little grey, it looks a bit like a pawn. Wait, I'll teleport over to you. Here I am, and this is the little guy. He's called the Thief, and he's got some uses. Yeah, here I am back. So, first thing you're going to do is take all of your hexes, and I'll just tell you a bit about these. Now, there's lots of main types of hexes. There's these green hexes, mountains, grey ones. They've all got lovely artwork on them, which of course you can't see, being so far away. These little fields of yellow, these luscious green fields, and if I can find these sort of exciting red fields. And these all have their uses, and there is in fact one desert piece, which I'll talk about in a second. So these are examples of some of the pieces. Now, just like you'd expect, each of them has corresponding things. You know, this forest piece is going to get us some wood. The mountain one is going to get rock. The field, the yellow field, is going to provide us with wheat. The lovely green pastures are going to provide us with sheepies. And of course, as you use one more, the brick coming from the red one. And then this is very important as well. So the first thing that you always do is you just gather everything back in the pile, close your eyes, and just throw them around. You have to use some pattern, and they will slot very conveniently into all of these things. So I'll just do that for you. Okay, so the board is now set up, and we're going to need to do the next stage, which is these little chips, which I'll come over and show you. Here they are. So, for example, this is a little 4 with 3 little dots, and there's lots of them to choose from. For example, 6 here, which happens to be red, which I'll explain in a second. And there is actually no 7, and I'll tell you why in a second, once I hop back. Because basically, if you are in any way familiar with the logic of dice, you'll know that 7 is going to come up a lot more than any other thing. And when you roll a 7, you trigger the Thief. So what you've got to do is you've got to put our tokens on all of our squares. Ignore the rumbling squares. Except, of course, the desert. Because the desert is the native home of our Thief. So I'll just fill them in. Okay, and with some effort, we've sorted everything out. So now, the way play begins is you take your collection. Every player has their own. You start with nothing at all, and you place somewhere on an intersection of these 3 hexes, and then you also get a road. Now this is one mistake. You go around in a circle, each already picking. And this is one mistake I don't quite like. Instead of playing with 2 settlements at the beginning, plus a road, start with 1 settlement plus a road for each person. So once you've set all of those up, it's time to start rolling. And the important thing now to do is to note the 3 numbers which are things circulating. So in this case, I'll just move this here for demonstration purposes. I do a very good starting position, but I'm next to a field with a 2. So whenever somebody rolls a 2 on these dice, anybody around the table on their turn rolls a 2, I get to have 1 sheep, because I've got a settlement on the edges, a point of one of that. If someone rolls a 3, it looks like I get a wood, and if someone is to roll an 8, which is going to come up quite a lot more than 2 and 3, I'm going to get a stone. So this is important. So you roll the dice, and eventually you will start building up plenty of lovely, exciting resources. Now, of course, there are some problems. For example, I'm not next to any clay, and clay is going to be very important to the expansion of my world. So I'm going to have to offer people trades and try and nab some clay for myself, hopefully. Now we have cast our eyes onto what's called the cost cards. So I, again, am going to have to teleport. Here I am, and this is a cost card. So if you want to take a look, you can see at the top we've got a road, which is going to cost us 1 wood and 1 brick. Settlement is going to cost us everything apart from stone. And a city is going to cost us 3 stone, 2 wheat, and a development card, which is going to cost a sheep, a wheat, and a rock. So back I go. So far I haven't actually told you how you win the game, and that is by obtaining 10 victory points. How do you get a victory point? Well, it's very simple. Every time you build a settlement, you get 1 victory point, as it says on the card, and a city is worth 2 victory points. A road is needed to connect your cities. You can't build a city on its own in the wild, it's got to be connected to another one of your own by a road. So, for example, I start here, and then I can't just build in the middle of nowhere. I have to build along the road of my settlement, and then I can build another settlement. And when I have enough, I can upgrade that settlement to a city. Now, one cool thing about this is that if I have 2 settlements, both on the points of 1 hex, if I built another one in front of me, even though you're quite far away, you won't be able to see it, I have 2 of my settlements next to a forest for 3. So when someone rolls a 3, instead of me just getting 1 settlement, one item, because I've only got 1 settlement, I take 2 in fact. So I'm going to become a lot rich, and in the process I'm going to actually get myself next to some wheat, which is going to help me out later on. So the next thing is also to look at the development cards. And development cards are a lot of fun, which are these at the front of my sort of tablecloth table. And these are very exciting. These are a bit like sort of exciting wild cards. Sometimes you'll get green ones, sometimes you'll get yellow ones, and sometimes you'll get knights. Anyway, so yellow ones are always worth 1 victory point. For example, this one says Jackal, 1 victory point. So, you know, somewhat of investment. Then we've got some more fun things. For example, Year of Plenty. Take 2 resources from the bank, add them to your hand. They can be 2 of the same resource or 2 different resources. So I just get to steal some resources for myself. And finally, you've got Knights, which allow me to move the robber. Ah, here comes the robber. So what does the robber do? Well, every time I roll a 7, which is going to happen quite a lot, I get to pick up Mr. Robber, wherever he seems to have got to. There he is. And move him to any hex of my choice. Now, even though I'm just playing with 1 settlement here, people will have their settlement spreading out just as fast as you are. And he starts on the desert. However, I can pick him up and I can put him on top of a settlement. So I'm just going to put him on top of this one. When he's on there, anybody who's next to that hex will not provide resources any longer. So basically, you can really end up ruining your friend's day. If they end up having about 10 settlements around 1 hex, you can really ruin it. But if you want to keep the peace, you can always just sort of move it away. If someone else rolls a 7, you can move it away from your friends, they'll like you for that. But of course, you can't just leave the thief where he is. Whenever you roll the 7, you have to move it. And a knight, as soon as you play a knight, you can move the robber anywhere you want. And there's also a thing where you can steal a resource from someone in an adjacent city, but that rarely happens. But more of the details are in the rulebook. Computer's being annoying again. But wait, there's more. So if you can believe it, there's actually more exciting things for this game. It seems a lot more complicated than it is, but we've also got the longest road card. and the longest army card, and those are both important. The longest army card is the thing you can claim when you have 3 knights. So when you pull enough development cards, you'll get lots of knights, they're quite common. And when you have 3, you can claim for the longest army, largest army, I mean. And when you claim for the largest army, which is this, if someone else gets larger than you, e.g. 4 or 5, then they will steal it from you, and whoever owns it gets 2 victory points. Not every turn, just when they first pick it up. And that's going to be very helpful in your goal for 10. And then there's also the longest road, which is the same thing, but you have to have 5 segments in your road, and then you claim 2 victory points as well. And for some reason I decided to make my name called the Port Master, which is when people are next to ports. Oh no, more stuff, it's port. Well, ports are actually a brilliant addition to the game, because what they do is they make up your trading a bit more. One thing I forgot to explain is about trading. So if I've got 4 of resources, let's say I am overloaded on my rock and all I want is a little clay, no one's giving it to me, no one wants to trade for the rock, well, I can actually trade in 4 of any resource. They don't have to be the same resource. I can just give 4 resource cards in, and then once I give the 4 in, just to the bank, I take 1 of my choice. Now it might seem like a bad deal, but you end up amounting lots of resources. That's where ports come in. Ports are on the edge, and you can start off next to a port, it's not recommended. And when you're on a port, you'll get better deals. For example, this is a 3-for-1 port, so it betters from 4 to 1 to 3 to 1. So that's going to be very helpful. Then we've also got this other port, which is a 2-for-1 port of a specific resource. Fidgety computer. So anyway, so once you do that, so for example, this is a 2-for-1 port near me. It says 2 wheat for 1, so I can give 2 wheat for anything of my choice. And there's also a 3-for-1 port here, which is going to get 4 resources for 1. You get 3 resources for 1. And that again is going to help me in my ultimate goal of reaching 10 points. So that just about covers everything in Settlers of Catan. Apart from one thing, which I meant to mention, that a city counts for 2 settlements, in the sense that if it's on a hex, it will provide double resources from that hex for that city, if you can translate that. Anyway, I am going to put up my Settlers of Catan bumper sticker, so let's hear the verdict. So, what is the verdict? So, what do I think of this game? How much is it going to score? So, the way I do this, if you don't know, is I take theme, design, and gameplay, and of course, each of them are out of 10, added together, divided by 3, find the average, and that is the final score of the game. So, let's start, of course, off with the gameplay. Now, the gameplay is not only original, it's fun, it's innovative, and it uses a whole bunch of pieces. It's not too complicated, not too simple. It gets a 10. I mean, I don't normally give games 10, and it really does deserve it, this game. So, a rightful 10 for that. Next theme is the theme. So, what do I think of this theme? Well, I believe this theme to be quite reasonably original. It's not thrilling, but it's a refreshing change for being some sort of, holy action hero. It's not going to quite a 10, but it's getting a 9, which is still brilliant, and I'm surprised I did give it the 9. But that is just because I feel like it's a refreshing change, it's a clever game, and it really does sort of drive the gameplay forward, which, if a theme can complement the gameplay so well, then there's no reason for it to be a bad theme. Finally, the design. So how visually appealing is the game? Well, I'm just giving it an 8. Why an 8? Well, I like the illustrations, I just don't get thrilled about them. A lot of them are just pictures of some rocks on a road. I mean, it's okay, I love the artwork. I don't know who did it, I'll look it up soon. But it is great, but it's not quite visually stunning or anything. So, what is our final verdict? I have it in my hands. So, Settlers of Catan scores a noble 9 out of 10. It's just because it is one of the most fantastic games of all time. It's got a whole bunch of expansions, which I might do, which I've got a few of. But I strongly suggest you check out this game. And, yeah. So, that is the verdict. Next game set is going to be Carcassonne. So, let's go.